You were standing on the edge of a dusty roadside in San Fernando, the Tamaulipas heat pressing down on your shoulders like a physical weight. Your palms are sweating against the grip of your rifle, but you don't dare wipe them. To your left, a row of commercial buses sits idling, their engines humming a low mechanical funeral dirge. In front of you, 72 people, men and women who were just trying to reach the border, are kneeling in the dirt. They are terrified, sobbing, and praying to a God who isn't answering. Then you hear the door of the armored SUV click open. Miguel Treviño Morales, the man you know only as Z40, steps out. He doesn't look like a monster. He looks like a businessman who is bored with his afternoon schedule. He walks down the line of kneeling migrants, his boots crunching on the gravel. He gives them a choice: join the Zetas and become a killer, or die right here. Most refuse. Some are too frozen with fear to speak. You watch him nod, a small clinical gesture, and the air explodes with the sound of gunfire. You are part of the line, pulling the trigger because you know that if you show a single second of hesitation, you'd be kneeling in the dirt next to him. This is life under Miguel. This is what happens when you serve a man who has replaced his soul with a ledger of debts and a thirst for blood. You weren't born a killer. You remember a time when your biggest worry was finding enough work to pay for your mother's medicine. You were just a kid in Nuevo Laredo, working as a mechanic's apprentice when the shadows started closing in. It started with a simple request from a regular customer: drive this car 3 blocks and leave the keys in the visor. They gave you more money for those 5 minutes than you made in a month. But then it escalated to watch this corner or carry this bag. By the time you realized you were working for the Zetas, the door had already locked behind you. You were trapped in a debt cycle where the only way to pay for your life was to take someone else's. You didn't choose Miguel. The system he built chose you. And once you saw his face, your fate was sealed. To understand how you ended up in this nightmare, you have to understand the man leading it. Most of the top Zetas were elite soldiers, former special forces with names and pedigrees, trained in the art of war. Miguel was different. He was a civilian recruit who started as a messenger, a kid running errands for gangs like Los Choppa. He didn't have a uniform, a sniper's certification, or a paratrooper's wings, and that fact sits like a poison needle in his mind. You've seen it in the way he carries himself, the deep, jagged insecurity of a man who feels he must be 10 times more violent than the soldiers just to prove he belongs at the head of the table. He didn't climb the ladder with tactical brilliance. He climbed it by being so sadistic that even the hardened commandos started to look away when he walked into a room. Your day-to-day existence is now a tour through a gallery of horrors. You don't just dispose of enemies anymore. Miguel popularized a method he calls the Guiso, the stew. You've had to help set it up more times than you can count. You find a 55-gallon steel drum, fill it with diesel or gasoline, and force a rival, a suspected informant, or sometimes just a victim of a wrong place, wrong time encounter inside while they're still breathing. You watch Miguel light the match. He doesn't walk away to let the low-level guys handle it. He stays. He watches the smoke rise and listens to the screams until there's nothing left but carbon and ash. He does this to remove evidence, yes, but you know the truth. He does it because he wants to erase them from existence entirely, leaving their loved ones in a permanent state of psychological limbo. The evil isn't just in the big massacres. It's in the quiet moments of the afternoon. You've been in the truck with him when he gets frustrated. Maybe the traffic is moving too slow. Or maybe a shopkeeper didn't look him in the eye with enough respect. You've watched him hop out of the vehicle in broad daylight, in the middle of a busy street, and beat a stranger to death with a crowbar just to vent his irritation. There is no logic to it. There is no business reason. It is pure, unadulterated malice. He has a habit of cruising the streets of Laredo like a shark, looking for a reason to snap. You sit in the passenger seat, heart hammering against your ribs, praying that no one accidentally cuts him off in traffic, because you know you'll be the one cleaning the blood off the upholstery. One evening, you're at a ranch outside the city. Miguel is in a foul mood. He has heard a rumor that one of your own, a guy you've shared meals with, might have talked to the police. There is no trial, There is no questioning. Miguel has the man's family brought to the ranch. It is a level of cruelty that goes beyond warfare. It is a ritual designed to break the very concept of humanity. You realize then that Miguel doesn't just want to kill his enemies. He wants to destroy the idea that anyone can ever be safe, even in their own homes. You live in a world of Plata or Plomo, silver or lead. But with Miguel, even the silver feels like a death sentence. You see the way he looks at everyone around him, including you. To him, you aren't a person. You're a tool, and tools are replaceable. You have seen him execute his most loyal lieutenants over a perceived slight or a dream he had where they betrayed him. He has turned the border into a landscape of paranoia, where the sound of your own convoy's engines is enough to make an entire neighborhood go silent. You are his shadow, a witness to the incineration of thousands of lives, trapped in the service of a man who realized long ago that if you can't be respected, you can at least be feared until the world turns to ash. But thankfully, one day, karma finally caught up with this monster. In the early morning hours of July 15, 2013, the reign of Z40 finally hit a wall. He wasn't taken down in a grand cinematic shootout or a massive military siege. He was intercepted by the Mexican Marines on a dirt road near the border of Nuevo Laredo. They used a helicopter to track his truck, and when they moved in, not a single shot was fired. The man who had spent years burning people alive in oil drums and executing migrants by the dozens surrendered without a fight. He went from being the most feared man in Mexico to just another prisoner in a jumpsuit. After a decade of fighting legal battles from behind Mexican bars, his time finally ran out. On February 27, 2025, Miguel Treviño Morales was extradited to the United States, not as a kingpin, but as a man in chains. He now faces a future of total isolation at ADX Florence, the federal supermax in Colorado. There, he will be confined for 23 hours a day to a 7 by 12-foot concrete cell where even the furniture is poured stone. With zero human contact and only a 4-inch slit of a window providing a glimpse of the sky, the man who once commanded an empire of fire will spend the rest of his life in a silent, gray box, stripped of his name and reduced to a Federal Register number.